All right, how you guys doing on this Sunday, this glorious Sunday evening race? I have quite a lot of things to talk about that I want to go over, and then I will read chat. I'll look at everything there. I think it's important for me to at least explain where all my positions are, or at least my thinking, my train of thought, and everything like that. So yeah, I'll read chat in like 15 minutes. If you guys get any questions or anything, I will answer it for you. But I want to kind of get through this. We do have right over we got 3 hours and 45 minutes until slate locks on DK, probably 3 hours and 30 minutes on FanDuel. So let's talk about a lot of things here at Darlington. I touched on some of this yesterday in the Xfinity Series video, but I mean, we don't get the views on those as we do on these big ones. When we look at high wear racetracks, what is a high wear racetrack? Like, let's really ask ourselves, because every track is old now. We've had years and years on these surfaces. It's not like we have Kentucky or any new track in the mix anymore. All the asphalt, all the tarmac out there is over a decade old on every track we go to at this point. That matters in terms of intermediates and stuff like that. We're losing Auto Club, okay, which was at the far right on the high wear radar, and everything else is old. Like, what I do, because I've argued this for years, of we have too many, at least for me, there's just too many fucking categories of racetracks. You'd have guys be like, oh, we need a high banking, high wear racetrack. Which one aligns with this? Which one aligns with that? When you look at the ovals, the faster ovals in general, they all correlate pretty well together. Okay, we see Dover have a striking direct comparison and replication for Charlotte, which nobody really looked at before I started mentioning that. Like, nobody would ever look at Dover and use that for Charlotte. Nobody would ever use Dover for other tracks, whereas Dover has high wear. Yeah, it's concrete. Who gives a shit? We see it has high wear. We see that Kansas has high wear. Charlotte has high wear now. All of these tracks are high wear racetracks now. That's just what it is. We see fall-offs from anywhere from a second and a half to a second, like 8/10 of most of these tracks now. We see tire fall off. We see tire management be crucial. We see a lot of things that are replicated throughout these tracks. So, at least for me, or at least where I'm at, there's no such thing as a high wear racetrack. If everything's a high wear racetrack, then nothing is a high wear racetrack, okay? And that goes back to why I really prefer looking at current form versus track history, certainly versus several year history. We have seen it specifically season to season, I mean, obviously, and stuff. Like at the start of this year, you want to look back at how these guys did at the end of the intermediates last year. When we're in this year, like, why are we wasting time looking at last year, the first year of the next gen car, when people were learning? Like, why even bother with that stuff, okay? So for me, and I'll put it up on the screen in a minute, but I use the current form of where we've been at so far. And those primary tracks are, Dover from earlier in the season, Kansas, Darlington 1, Coca-Cola 600, Nashville, Pocono, and I would normally throw in Michigan here. But as I said in the previous video, we need to understand what happened in Michigan. Have it in your mind of who was fast. But in terms of like having the data on the screen, it's going to dilute the stuff, because you had a lot of people get wrecked out in that race. You had people get wrecked out and have great cars. Bell, for example. That data is not going to be replicated. Like, no, you can't pull Bell's average running position from Michigan and have it show that he was the best car, because he wasn't based on time alone. But the fact that he drove a wrecked bucket of fuck through the field and finished 14th with a car that was pretty destroyed, you have to know that, but no data set's going to show you that. When we look here at Darlington, the second thing that I want to talk about is we are in a very cool weekend. Typically, in the Southern 500, we have a hotter temperature, we have a hotter track, we have a pretty drastic change from day to night. Okay, I'm not saying it's going to be like no change, but we're seeing that variable shrink in terms of how big it is that these teams are having to deal with. Okay, we're seeing that a lot of teams qualified poorly. We're seeing that several people ran fast laps in practice. We're seeing a lot of this stuff, and I haven't looked at stuff. I probably won't listen to anything. I'm pretty set in my ways. I'm either going to score or just pay the rake today. I really don't give a shit. I'm personally not concerned about ownership. I think it's going to be very spread out up top in terms of grid positioning. Clearly, we're all going to probably center around, go to certain drivers. But we need to keep that in mind. So, yes, if the temperature isn't as high as normal, this track is still going to be loose. You're still going to have to drive the car. Handling is still going to be a concern, but it's not as drastic as normal, okay? Especially once we get into the evening. Once we get an hour and a half into the race, a lot of rubber being put down on the track. I mean, it's already there from the Xfinity Series, but so we have that. We have, a cooler temperature. Typically, you can see who does better in cooler temperatures compared to the higher temperature tracks and things of that nature. We're also seeing that, yes, you can't pass here at Darlington. And we have seen, and I have been very loud about this, that I haven't chased place differential. I don't typically like chasing place differential plays in races, okay? Now that I've mentioned all that type of stuff, now that you understand or have that as a starting place, I can now explain where I'm at and where I'm going and things of that nature. So when we look, and thank you for the 85 of you guys here tuning into the video. As I said, this is what we're looking at in terms of the tracks that I would look towards, so on and so forth. We have where are we at? We have our starting grid here, and let me make sure, yeah, so you can still see the names. I mean, the pricing isn't important to have on the screen. I mainly just want to make sure you can see the names. So, what do you guys want to look at first? This is kind of rhetorical because I already have a plan, but when we look at this, we see where certain people are, and we can understand why we're going to see certain chalk go to certain people. Okay? We have several fast cars who have shown speed at every single one of these tracks. Okay? I want to reiterate that I have played Byron in pretty much every race this year. Road courses, short tracks, intermediates. There have been several times we have seen, and Truex, people like this. I also want to reiterate this, or the reason I'm bringing this up is I've been through many situations of 24 speeding in pit lane, 19 car to the rear of the field, crew member or crew out of the pits early, taking equipment out of the pit stall, speeding and exiting pit lane. And these guys haven't killed lines like that. These guys are top 5 drivers who get speeding penalties and go to the rear of these races. If you remember Kansas, Larson and Byron had to go through the field twice and drove through the field, got there. You're seeing that's replicated. As I said, that's why I didn't include Michigan, because we're seeing that Byron had a fantastic car at Kansas. Larson had a really good car at Kansas, and they had to go through the field multiple times. We didn't see the laps led from them because they were starting the back of the field. I believe Byron went a lap down, got a lucky dog, had to drive through the field again. These are people that I've been playing, that have been starting inside the top 7 all year, that we have seen that we can replicate them going through the field. I understand Darlington's difficult to pass. And Darlington is a place where people will go laps down very quickly. No doubt about that. But when you have situations like this to where you have, let's use Truex as an example. Top 5 car in every single one of these races. And I have Pocono to the side because I would centralize on these. But top 5 car in every single race. Had a bad Q lap, starts 31st. He's 10.8, not the most expensive. This alone clearly shows where he's at in these cars. We continue to move on with practice lap, and we see on averages, Truex is like 13th on average. He's 12th on average. That's not great, but he's there. Does he work out if he gets 13th? Yada yada yada. But we look at 5 lap runs, and we look at the longest stint that we mainly have for most of the contenders here. Most people who are going to contend for the race were able to run 15 laps, so we can see where they stack up, and we see that Truex had 5th best average, Byron 4th, Larson 2nd. Okay, so this is a situation where at this point, why would I not play the guys that I've been playing all season that I have been saying to play all season, that have been up top all season. Truex, Byron, and Larson are all good chalk in my opinion. It's difficult to get all three in a line because you have to give up an early lap leader. But for the most part, I'm going to have a shitload of Truex. I'm going to have a shitload of Byron. And I'm going to have a shitload of Larson today. Okay? Just saying that right now. Now, if you ask me, Brandon, how many Dominators do we need? How many Doms do we need? Well, any upside or any additional points that these drivers get, because a lot of these guys are going to be close to paying off the value just with their fast laps, getting through the field, and finishing in the top 10. Any laps led that Truex, Byron, Larson get are awesome. I'm really not projecting them to get laps led. Not because I don't believe it, but I don't see the need to. I would much rather take that time and focus on what's happening up at the top of the starting grid in this race. So when you say, how many Doms are you going to have? Well, are you counting Truex and Byron as a Dominator? I'm not. I view them as place differential plays that have a high likelihood of getting to the lead at some point, but that's not why I'm chasing them. I like them because of the fast laps. I like them because they've gone through these fields before. I like them based on the practice stuff. But if you say, how many Doms are you playing? Well, I'm playing like 4 guys. I'm playing 4 Dom lines. I'm playing 3 Dom lines. But really, in terms of like lap leaders, that's when it comes down to what are we doing up top? Where are we going with? And that's really my extent on Truex, Byron, and Larson. I'm not going to talk about them at all because that's a waste of time. That's a waste of my time, your time. We're already playing those guys. The field should already be playing them. I don't really see a reason to continue talking about them. So once we get that out of the way, what's going on up top here? Okay, so we got Bell, who is underpriced for his upside. We look at where he's been in these races. We see that he was the second best car at Michigan. Not saying that that's a direct comparison, but it is good to see. Top 10 car here, top 10 car here. Clearly, JGR just fucking cheating with shit at Michigan. Where is Bell in practice laps? Hey, he's like right there with Truex in averages. Okay, let's see where he is in runs. Didn't run that far. Didn't run in that way. But we can see that based on, the 5 lap and the 10 lap, he's most likely falling somewhere in between, probably 5th and 9th, 4th and 9th, somewhere around there. So we understand that Bell's a top 10 car. We understand where he's running. Very similar to just where his current form is. It's probably where he's going to fall in line. His discount from 94 to 11,000 for Denny Hamlin makes a lot of sense. And if you're doing a lot of Larson and Truex lines, you're going to play Bell in a majority of those lineups because he's easy to get to. He works with the line. We know that Toyota is, I hate being like, they're on the up and up, but they're clearly having speed. I mean, look, you don't sneak by the U.S. Navy and bomb Pearl Harbor if Toyota isn't bringing good motors in those planes, all right? So, we're seeing that Joe Gibbs is carrying the speed. We're seeing that Toyota is carrying the speed entering the playoffs. And shout out to me for not even remembering that Reddick made the playoffs. Because, who gives a fuck about the playoffs? Hamlin. Same arguments can be made with Hamlin. And Bell has a great pit stall. Hamlin has one as well. When we directly compare Hamlin to Bell, we're seeing that, yes, Hamlin isn't as consistent. Certainly fast. I mean, consistency when it comes to these guys, yeah, sure. This isn't Truex. This isn't Byron consistent. But, we're going to have off days for these guys, whatever the case may be. So, passes everything. Passes flying colors here. Passes the pit lane here. Averages, that's fine. Not really concerned. Clearly, this is being held down because he did a lot of laps. That's why he's at 159, whereas guys who did shorter laps, although Larson is just fast as fuck. We're seeing that when we get here, Hamlin is right at 7. Basically, identical speed to Christopher Bell. Lineup building leans Bell or Reddick if you're building lineups. If you're using Hamlin, you're having to sacrifice, and you're most likely sacrificing Larson because I would prioritize the place differential between Byron and Truex. I also want to add that I really like this slate because I'm not really concerned about ownership, and you can really chase whoever you want in this. I think this is a slate that you should be building a lot of lines for. I'm doing 20. In the 10 or in the 15, 4, 5, 1. If they throw another 15 up there, I'll throw the 20 in that. I'm comfortable playing 12 of my 20 lines with Bell in it. You guys see how I approach Darlington specifically. I like playing the pole sitter. We have seen in the past that pole sitters and guys up front at Darlington in the Cup Series have run into issues, or even just lap leaders in or at Darlington have ran into issues, whether it's self-inflicted, whether it's them being involved in a wreck late in the race, whatever the case may be. Let's look, and we'll even bring in some of the what is it, the Gen 6. We'll look at the last 4 Darlington races here in terms of laps led, in terms of where these leaders finish, because I think this is important. We're seeing that variance is really, really high. Like that's variance is way higher here at Darlington than most other intermediate tracks. Okay, so in the spring, Truex, who started first, who dominated the race, doesn't even finish the race. Okay, Chastain, second guy who leads the most amount of laps, doesn't even finish the race. Okay, Larson, who was going to win the race until Ross Chastain fenced him, finishes 20th. You know. So we have just lap leaders destroyed here. We're basically just fucking place differential. Like, this is such a wild anomaly, but it's not wild to see. Okay, we look back at the last race last year, and we see that your highest lap leader blows a motor. He blows up running. This race was crazy. We have Harvick catch on fire. We just have some dumb shit happen left and right. We have Truex again, who pretty much had the fastest car, have to retire due to a water pump, and we see just a lot of guys not finish the race who were also pretty fast. Same thing with Elliott, gets in the wall, destroys the car. So these are situations where your highest lap leaders are taken out in the last 2 races. We go back 3 races ago. This should be a calm one, if I'm remembering correctly. We see a lot of potential lap leaders, again, who have fast cars. Larson, Truex, Chastain. This is the one that, like, everybody died in the spring race. Everybody that showed speed entering, that showed speed at related intermediate tracks, that had showed speed entering this spring race that everybody was playing, all ran into issues. That's just how variance is at this track. We go back 4 races. Last race in the COT, or not COT, the fucking Gen 6. We see that this is a race to where your lap leaders finally survive a race. Okay? And we can continue to go back more, but you get the point. In this Darlington race, there's a high likelihood that one of the major lap leaders gets in the wall. All you have to do is just barely get in the wall, and you're just breaking shit in these styrofoam suspension cars. So, regarding Bell, I'm comfortable playing 12 lines of his, so that's 60%. If he dies, if something happens, I got 8 lines to play with. And it's most likely the case of, with there was remaining 8 lines, I'm using Hamlin or Reddick, or probably 2 without any lap leaders up front to start the race on. Hoping that, hey, it'd be fucking, in those situations, because those lines are going to be directly competing with my other ones in my contest and stuff, I'll be like, yeah, hopefully fucking Bell, like, leads 200 laps, then fucking crashes, you know, and then all the place differential comes through. Things of that nature. So that's where I'm at, like a 20 max setting of wanting to spread my ownership out up top. Hamlin would probably be the priority. And then Reddick. So regarding those 8, I'll probably do 4 with Hamlin, 2 with Reddick, 2 naked with nobody towards the top of the grid. So now that that's faced, where else are we going? What other plays are we at? And this is why I'm not really concerned with ownership. There's a lot of great plays in this race. And I want to use this by, yet again, we're going to look here. We're going to look through the practice laps and see where these guys are starting. My first guy that I want to talk about is the guy who has never won a race before. Somebody fact check me on that. I mean, look, I've been watching NASCAR for like 8 months now. I've never seen Bubba Wallace even compete to win a fucking race. All right? So we're seeing Bubba be here. We played him at Darlington. Fucked it up. They fucked him on pit lane in the spring race here at Darlington earlier in the year. But we're seeing Bubba pretty much have, you can argue, pretty much a top 10 car in most settings. Starting 9th gives you an arguable, it gives you at least 8 to 9 place differential points for him to be running 11, 10th to 9th, somewhere around there. Outside of fast laps, I think that's perfectly fine. To him at 82, that's like, 42, 44 points? And certainly 40 ain't going to kill you. When we look at averages, he's right up there. When we look at his runs, he didn't finish running. He didn't do a 15 lap. Fell off at a 12, went from 6th to 12th. That's a little concerning. I have to guesstimate that he probably would have ended up anywhere from around 13th to 15th. With that said, right in line with where he's at. Bubba Wallace fits in a lot of lineups. He's fitting in with a lot of lineups that you're building with your place differential guys, up top, whatever the case may be. I like Bubba Wallace. I like Ty Gibbs as well. He's a cheaper play, very similar to Bubba Wallace at a much nicer price. When we look at practice laps, he's right here. Also, I mean, you can go back. I mean, there's a lot of laps to look at. But it's just good to have at least have an idea of where people are at. Mid-pack on average, but he ran a long run. You know, we're going to be able to see where he's at in 5 and 10 laps. So we look at here, 15 laps. Hey, Gibbs is right at 13th. Pretty identical to Bubba Wallace, with similar upside, with similar speed. At least we're confirming that, hey, 15 lap averages, he's right at 13th. Yet again, falling right in line of where he's at in these races. Okay, so I like Ty Gibbs. Let's talk about another play that I'm probably going to be over the field on. I would be very surprised if people do this, but I really like Stenhouse today. I'm going to try and get to him in at least 6, if not 7 of my lineups. We see his upside, and this is, yet again, this is not finishing position, because people keep asking me that. This is driver rating, average rating position combined with pit data. I think this is a much better representation of where people are in terms of these races. Starting 25th, we're seeing that worst case scenario, because Stenhouse has wrecked here before. He has run piss poor here before. But pretty much worst case scenario from the similar tracks we're looking at is he's running 25th all day. He's most likely probably going to fall a little bit higher up than that. He's in the playoffs, so that can be good or bad. I typically enjoy playing the lower upside, like playoff dudes, upside in terms of championship upside. But like Ricky Stenhouse Jr. literally has to get points in these races. He has to be there in the stages, which could be a detriment. He stays out, gets some fucking stupid stage points when there's like 4 to go in a stage. But that forces them to race. Like they have to race. They have to try and win these races. So we have that to start off with. We have Stenhouse having pretty good average. Now, I think he ran only 18 laps, or, I mean, when you tally it all together, I think it's like right at 19 or 20. But we're seeing his average is pretty fine. And I mean, that's like, 9, 10, 11 laps shorter than other people. But, I mean, the average is nice to see. Now, this is what I really like here. Yet again, pretty much identical time with Ty Gibbs. Pretty identical with what we could probably see Bubba Wallace doing. Yet again, this is a race to where I know we can't pass well, and I haven't been on the place differential this year. But these are a lot of guys who messed up in Q, and these are a lot of guys with upside that shows them that, okay, like Stenhouse ain't gonna fucking win the race, but can he get 5 place differential? Can he be an 18th and 19th place driver? I think he can. I think that's a very easy and doable thing for Stenhouse. A couple other plays back here. We have Haley, similar upside. I mean, same thing. I don't have to repeat the stuff every time. This is a bit worrying. When we get to the back half of the field drivers, that's when you really do have to at least, like, this is a learning. This is a little, not like alarms going off, but I mean, you never want to be like the fucking worst in averages unless you're like running the longest run of anybody possible. And when we look at his 15-lap run, we're missing about, what is that? So we're missing 7 guys here. Some of these guys run who are going to be in front of him, probably pushes them down to at least probably 23rd, 24th on 15-lap averages, but Haley starting 29th. I like his price, and he's pretty mispriced. As I mentioned, with Eric Jones being priced up and so many people being moved up due to recent or like whatever they're doing recently at fucking plate races and road courses, like Haley's at a discount price. We have Priest at a pretty discounted rate for what he's able to accomplish here. Like Priest is another guy. 59 is not that hard to get to today. Okay? I mean, he's right here. I mean, he's here. Yet again, bump that down, 27, 28th. He's starting pretty close to last. Like, I mean, I don't mind Priest, man. I don't mind these guys. I want to talk about BJ really fast, and then I guess we'll start answering questions here. So when we look at BJ McLeod, look at where he's at here. Now, with that said, let's go, because he's not going to show up there. This is So this is where he's like the third, fourth slowest fucking car. Really, that's what it is. But when we look at how he's finishing in these races, Michigan 32nd, Pocono 32nd, not great, not good. Nashville 34th. When we look at other races this year, the other animated tracks, and we combine that with the fact that Darlington's going to have a lot of variance, high probability of crashes, high probability of good guys way up front getting taken out. He finished 29th at Charlotte, 32nd at Darlington, 33rd at Kansas, 29th at Dover, 32nd at Vegas, 24th at Fontana. Like, I'm going to be playing a lot of BJ McLeod. That's just kind of where I'm at. Specifically, like, when I need to punt down, he's starting last. Realistically, he probably finishes 32nd just on speed alone, with just some basic guys running issues. If we have a good amount of wrecks, that just increases. I like BJ McLeod. Other drivers we can just kind of talk real fast about, not really like a priority or anything. But Chase Elliott, $8,400, a pretty big discount on what he has been able to do at Darlington. Like that is a price that I kind of want to get to some Chase Elliott because I don't anticipate anybody really wanting to play him. Alex Bowman at 76. I think he'd probably be the more popular play in the 7K range. Like, people are going to want to play Bowman over Suarez and probably over Stenhouse. Yet again, I think Stenhouse makes a lot of sense today. Harrison Burton, 54. Todd Gilliland, 52. Last but not least. Man, I need to blow my nose. I pray I don't just start having, like, snot trail down my face right now. Buescher, I'm probably going to do like 2 to 3 lines with guys up front. I'm not playing Blaney. I'm not playing Logano. Not getting to Harvick due to their pricing. Buescher, Keselowski, 87 and 89. This is where they're at, recent form. This is where they're at in practice. This isn't due to a long run. Like, let's figure out why he's so low in the average stuff. 9th. Yet again, when you're like, why am I going goo goo gaga over Truex and Byron being 4th best and 5th best here, and I'm not losing my mind for Buescher being top 10 as well, because these guys got fucking place differential built in. They got like 20 place differential points built in. Buescher is right where he should be, around 9th. When we look at his current form, that's probably where he's going to end up coming at. Same thing with Brad. I'm going to get to these guys in some one-offs, but I don't really have a lean on them. We'll just see. I think that really covers about all the guys I'm either playing or considering playing. If I didn't mention anyone right now, you guys can ask the question on them, but that's because I really don't have interest in them at the moment. Maybe it changes here. I'm still building lines. I'm doing 9 lines on FanDuel, 20 on DraftKings, like I said, but this is really my just approach on the day. I think I covered a good amount, and I'll look at the chat, don't worry. But I think I covered a good amount of lineup construction. I think I covered a good amount of where I think people are going to go, or maybe not even the lack of where people are going to go, but like I think that shows why I'm not really concerned with ownership today. I had some questions in the Discord of being like, yeah, Truex, Larson, and Byron are probably going to be highly popular, and I'm like, I don't. Is it? Are they? I mean, just pair that with like Stenhouse, then like another ugly play, and I think you'll be fine. I'm not really concerned about ownership today, but that's kind of where we're at. So let's go ahead and see what you guys are saying and everything like that. Hey, BVP, thank you very much for the super chat 2 days in a row. I'll read that and then I'll go through the chat again. Thank you for live shows all this year. This is my last. I appreciate it, man. You're heading out to bigger and better things and enjoy NFL. I hope the year goes well for you. And just thank you for the continued support and always tune in, BVP. I do appreciate it. What's going on, Mr. 139 of you guys here? Thank you very much. What's going on, Mr. Super Dave? Yeah, that was certainly unfortunate for a lot of people. I'd like to say myself included because that took out 8 of my 9 lines, but the other 2 that didn't have Larson did really, really good, and it certainly made up for that. So I don't understand why Larson and the Hendrick crew does that. It's like Larson's in fucking 3rd. He's like, yeah, the engine's blown up. Just got to call it. Like, what else are you guys here for? You're here for the win. Blow her up, man. Keep her out there. What are we doing? Make Ricky Hendrick proud. I don't think Ricky Hendrick is a quitter. I mean, come on, man. What are we doing? I don't know why they keep like protecting those motors. Like, who gives a shit? It's Hendricks. They're whatever. Thank you, Rick Jones. I do appreciate that. Chris M. First 3 drivers to start GPP line. I hate fucking questions like this, man. Cindric, lap averages were crazy. Yes, so when we look at Cindric, this is also where I'm like, let me see if I can find anything. Is this out of the blue? You know, like, this is where we're at with Cindric. And then his averages here, like, he has the speed. And so this could be, I mean, I'm not going to have the fucking stones to throw lines away on Cindric. But this could be very much they're running identical setups between Blaney and Logano at this point. Like, clearly just trying to find something. Because they have such an abysmal year so far. Like, does Cindric gain the ownership? If you're looking at practice stuff, if you're looking at that, like, you know, I mean, I don't know how long I've been talking here. We've been here, I talked for like 30 minutes about how I look at everything as a group. I don't really single in on one specific data point. Which could be a good thing, could be a bad thing. I'm just saying how I do it. If you're zooming in on the practice stuff, like, that's going to bump him up in a lot of projections, man. Especially at his price. Like, that's 61. That's pretty nuts. But him starting 14th, like, oh man, are we counting, you know, his practice stuff against, you know, 6 races here? Like, man, I don't know. I'm not playing Cindric, but that's just where I'm at. Cool. Chicago DK shirt. Aren't you from here, Ari? I am not from Chicago. I have done trade shows, and I have not worked like permanently. I've flown up and done trade shows at Chicago with a super previous job. That's like 2017, 2018. But these shirts are very, very comfy. I bought a shitload of DraftKings shirts. And same thing when I got the football helmet and stuff. I think it was last year when I bought a lot of stuff. And typically I wear, you know, when I go hang out at like Buffalo Wild Wings or stuff. Or like logo bars and shit. But that's really about it. I really don't wear a lot of like DK stuff. Certainly on stream. I think this is the first time I've ever worn like a DraftKings gear on stream and stuff. The shirts are very comfortable. Highware racetracks. I can't believe you even type that. I'm like insulted that you type that. I know what a highway racetrack is. I'm so insulted. I'm so insulted by you typing that in. So the Hamlin and Bell question, Matthew, I would not. Now, I'm not going to do that. If you believe that they can't pass, like truly can't pass, like Truex finishes like 16th after 300 and something laps here. Is it 267? How many laps is this fucking race? Don't answer. I can figure it out on my own. Yeah, it's 367. That's a fucking long race, man. You're telling me due to strategy? You're telling me like they can't get through the field on something? The green flag, I understand. But like, God, we're gonna have yellows here. We pit under green. You're gonna have guys cutting, like short. Not what is it? Like short pitting each other. Like you're telling me these guys can't gain the positions. Like fuck them even like getting through the field at all these other races. We circle on this one race. You're telling me Truex, Larson, Byron, even like Wallace, Bowman, I'm not big on them at Chastain. You're telling me they can't get to like fucking 15th to 13th or something in this race? Like, I would personally not do Bell and Hamlin together, but that's where I would be at. That's kind of where I'm at. What do you think of this core? Asks Tucker of James. Let's see. Larson, Truex, Byron, put in McDowell, Hocevar. I would not play. Now, for me, I'm not playing Hocevar. Now, also, speaking of shirts I bought, I went on NASCAR.com, right? And, dude, I bought like $115 worth of fucking Noah Gragson shit. I bought all his stuff on sale for like $15. So I can finally have some better Noah Gragson gear. Man, they stopped sabotaging Gregson, and this car gets speed. But also, like, Barry couldn't get it out. Rockefeller couldn't get out. He's faster than Jones out of nowhere. I'm personally not going to play Hocevar. I think he falls back through the field. This is a long race. I would see him not destroying the car, not DNFing, but just falling through the field and probably running like 24th, 23rd all day. I would just personally not get to Hocevar there. But like that type of build makes a ton of sense there. The McDowell, yet again, same thing. Do we play McDowell? Do we not? I have the guys that I'm set in stone. I can't really get to McDowell in my 20 lines. I don't fault anybody for throwing him in. It's very similar to the Buescher and Keselowski kind of one-offs. If you get to McDowell, that I don't really have any real opinion on that other than you're just trying to diversify your lineup versus the field, or get off of ownership and stuff like that. I would just not get to that. I think you could, like, instead of, if you're dead set on that, you could probably just get off Hocevar and go to Bowman, and then what's Hocevar at, like 60 or 57, so you'll be at 55. Like, you can find somebody there. You can find somebody at that price that you could probably get to any of these goobers with that type of lineup. That's what I would do. Thank you for the support towards BVP, Bob. Fading Busch, going to the rear. Yeah, I'm not fading. I'm not playing Busch. I had no want to play Kyle Busch really. Starting 11th, yes, he's up there. Practice laps. Let's go to the left. So 4th best on average. We go here. 7th, and then at this point it's a direct comparison to people who have baked in place differential, so I was not going to get to Kyle Busch to begin with. Can't get through the field. I believe that if you have a fast car, you can get through the field here, and we've clearly seen that. Let's see what else. Let's see, Dillon or Bowman just got here. Bowman between those two, but like Dillon makes a lot of sense. He doesn't project well for me, but if I got like a chalky line, I'm going to try and get to Austin Dillon here. Very similar to Stenhouse. Like, I don't know if people are going to want to get to Dillon. Like, Dillon has pretty, like, realistic, at least upside to pass people. He's at 68. So, 32, 33 tit value. If he has mediocre day like this, it's going to be close. Anything higher than that, he's going to be there. Ran a long run, but he is slow. So clearly between those two, Bowman and Dillon, you'd want to go Dillon, although Bowman also has similar time. But lower ownership would lean towards Dillon. If you want to get different Dillon, like I think this is a very, very fun slate to really do whoever you want, especially at this point after I've already mentioned who I want to play. Am I crazy like some Burton? No, not at all. This is not because he stayed out and almost fucking won Darlington, but like starting 32nd, most likely a car that's going to run mid-20s, if not a bit higher. Average is pretty fine. This is what you want to see. Very similar to Haley. Like, these guys have real upside. I don't think, like, in the 5K range, like, why? That's kind of why, like, maybe people are playing Hocevar to get different, but I just see Haley, I see Gilliland, and I see Burton starting where they're at with proof that they've moved through the field, that they can get up through the field. Like, I don't understand why you wouldn't just fucking use Gilliland, Haley, and Burton exclusively in the 5K range. I don't get that at all. You can use two of these guys in a lot of lines. If you're chasing a lot of expensive guys, you can use two of those three guys in your lineups like that. Or if you don't want to do that, if you want to pay a bit higher, you can use Priest or you can use BJ McLeod. Like, Gilliland, Burton, Haley, Priest, and McLeod are like the only guys you should use from like 6,500 down, if not 7K down. Like, that's where I'm at. That's what I'm doing. Let's see. Bell never seems to dominate from the pole. Hell, so I mean, look, I understand that argument with Bell. You can't let that. And this is where I'm probably going to shift from like, giving you real data points to more of this is just my mentality. Like, you just gotta not worry about that. Like, if he burns you, if he doesn't burn you, like whatever, you gotta have a short memory. Like, if I burn the money, I burn the money. I'm not really gonna. Yet again, this happened earlier this year when Bell had the number one pit stall, and I don't remember what race it was. Was it New Hampshire or Gateway? It had to be New Hampshire. I'm guessing. I think it was a flat track. Same thing. Number one pit stall, starting the pole. Didn't perform well. Pissed off a lot of people, and then they're like, I'm not gonna want to play Bell anymore. His crew sucks. Like, I don't know, man. I'm happy to lean into that stuff when other people aren't. Are you fading Larson? No. Elliott might be a trap. I don't think Elliott is. Okay, first off, Mr. Super Dave, I got a real question. Elliott trap. First off, I don't think. I would assume, because he's not projecting like to really do anything in this race. This is just me indicating that, hey, he's really cheap and he is truly like good at Darlington and stuff. And he's in the playoffs. He's in the playoffs for the owner points. Like, I can't think of anybody being on Elliott. Like, a trap play isn't some dude who's like fucking 11% owned. Like, nobody would ever be like, yeah, Suarez is a trap play starting 21st. Like, nobody's making the claim that he's not. Like, I don't understand that. I really need to get over my personal bias against Toyota. Why do you have a bias against Toyota, man? Pearl Harbor was years ago. Okay, in DFS, you have got to be playing the Toyotas the last like 3 years. It's insane. They are so fucking fast at this point in the year. Like, it's so hard to not like the Toyotas. And also, if it helps out, just cross out the names and just look at projections, and then it doesn't even fucking matter. Who cares about it? Who cares about the manufacturer? I got sunset tickets from Super Overlaid $6 contest and would. Yeah. Don't piss that away. I think it's Toyota, man. I think it is. How much Truex Larson? How much Truex Larson and Truex for Larson? I don't know. I haven't finished my stuff. Really, whatever you're fine at. I'm probably, like I said, I'm probably going to have 60% Bell. So that would probably lean to the same, if not slightly higher for Truex for me. Probably slightly under for Larson. Probably I'll end up with Larson at like 40 or 45%. Probably Byron right at like 50 to 55, I'm guessing. But it's hard for me to answer that when I don't have all my lines done. But I'm trying to think of what the builds would end up looking like. Eric Jones, I'm not playing Eric Jones. That's just where I'm at. Logano Harvick, yeah, probably similar in the sense of maybe you want to get to him if you're playing a lot of lines. I'm just not getting to him. Like, Logano has been there at the end of races, but I don't know. I don't want to look at that. Ran a long run, but like still just slow. I'm not going to get to Logano, where we will, lower temperatures. Leans to Blaney possibly being in the argument more, but I don't know. That's me. And then I'm not paying 10-8. I'm not paying 9-8 for Harvick. Give him the senior citizen discount or something. DraftKings, put him at like 8,100 again. Then we can play Harvick. I'm not paying nearly 10K for Harvick, because then I'm directly sacrificing like the other guys in the 10K range that I want to get to. So that's where I'm at. Gonna need your. Oh yeah, thank you. Well, it's always in the descriptions of all these videos. Dave, if anybody ever clicks on the support me below on the YouTube live streams and videos and stuff like that. And I think we're about squared away. That's where I'm at today. I think this is a fun slate. Favorite driver in the 9K range. All right, Ben. Ben. Been live for 43 minutes. I know for a fact you just joined and just typed that in. You're wanting the picks, and I respect that. I certainly respect it. You had to subscribe to post that comment, which I appreciate. But I just spent 45 minutes talking about all this. So if you want to listen to that, that'll clearly tell you who I like in the 9K range. Yeah. So that's it. Harvick tricks Dylan tricks Blaney when it gets dark and cools off. I mean, I also wouldn't want to. Okay, we're getting a lot of questions, like, guys. I really did answer nearly all this stuff in this video, and I don't really want to repeat myself and stuff like that. So you can always go back, listen on 2X. You'll be done. You got plenty of time to. I've not been live for 29 minutes. I've been live for 45. Anyway. Yeah, I think we're going to end it there. If you guys are just joining, you can listen back on 2X and be done with plenty of time to build your lineups and stuff like that. Real fast for FanDuel, pretty similar. I'm going to just probably be 100% on tricks on FanDuel. I usually just go 100 because I'm not playing a lot of lines on FanDuel. I'll probably just play tricks in every line on there, or like 7 of my 9. But it's really the same guys. Little less focus on Bell, Hamlin and Reddick, more focus on guys who I assume are gonna finish well. Harvick, Byron, not Harvick, Larson, Byron, Truex, Ty Gibbs, Bubba Wallace, plays like that on FanDuel. That's kind of where I would want to focus on and things of that nature. I don't believe Dave. What is with this Elliott shit, man? Like, who is projecting ownership? What do you have Elliott projected for? Like, what do you think Elliott can realistically do? Like, why on earth? This is what I mean. Man, I was doing so good. Now I'm all cranky because we've been live for like 45 minutes, and I'm gonna assume that you either aren't using projections, aren't really using realistic expectations. So, why would Elliott be at 40%? Elliott, to be at 40%, he would need to be projected by fellow touts, by the sportsbook, which we can look real fast on what DraftKings Sportsbook has him to win this race. I'm going to assume he's not. He might. Hey, who knows? I'm not into sports betting, so we can go and check and see where is Elliott, in a sense, to win this race. And he is on DraftKings 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, plus 2,500. So DraftKings doesn't believe he's going to win this race. I would assume other touts don't believe he's even going to fucking lead a lap in this race. I have him to finish 11th today with 7 laps led and a few fast laps. Like, why on earth would Elliott be that high? He doesn't even work. His 8,400 is hard to get to when everybody's getting to the higher place differential, guys. Like, this is what I don't like doing. This is one thing I don't like about this stuff. Like, if you have, and I don't say you have to use an optimizer. I don't say you have to do that. But, if you're looking at, how contests are going to be played out, I don't know what you're doing to get to assuming Elliott's going to be that carry that ownership, but that's a drastic. That needs to be readdressed. That is some unrealistic results you're getting if you're doing it just from your mind. If you're looking at your own stuff, whatever the case may be. I don't understand why this Elliott talk is even happening. That is a massive oversight and stuff like that. Okay, all right. Elliott. Oh, so why is Stevie pushing Elliott? Brother, what the fuck is Stevie looking at, man? Oh, dude, what in the fuck, man? That's impressive. That's wild. Chastain love? No. Okay. All right. What's your Discord? It's in the if you support me on Patreon, you get added to it automatically. And it's not a public Discord. Yeah. Anyway, that's about it. Okay, hey man, Roto. First off, they've been, I don't know if it's Stevie specifically or whoever it is, those projections and ownership have been terrible this year. Secondly, if Elliott comes in at 33%, I'm fucking fine with that. I'm so happy with that. I would not expect that to even be the case. Like who are they playing? Who the fuck are you playing with Elliott? Are you just like not playing any of the expensive guys? Like that build is wild. That's insane. Like when I did my one Elliott lineup to like get him, I was like, man, this is fucking hard. This is a hard line to get to. I'm like having to sacrifice so much in this line to fit, fan favorite Elliott in. That's insane. I don't know why Elliott would be that expensive. I don't give a fuck about a bet, dude. I don't give a shit, man. I will suck your dick. Like I don't even have to lose to you, man. Like that's all it is. Whenever people are like, I'll bet you, you're a tout. Like I'll 1v1 you, bro. Like 1v1 me on fucking Rust in Modern Warfare 2, dude. Like I don't give a flying shit what Elliott does today. Okay, I don't fucking care. Anyway, I'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.